On this episode of Canadian Football League Weekly, we'll discuss the Week 11 games played north of the border, where it was deja vu all over again. Another week, another win for the Montreal Alouettes. Oh, and Nathan Rourke is back with the BC Lions. Welcome to Canadian Football League Weekly, presented by the World of Football. Each week we talk about the games played up north in the CFL, and we also look ahead to next week's games. I'm Randy Snow, and I'm joined by my son, Adam.
Hey, how you doing? Happy Monday. Happy anniversary to, this isn't a Canadian football, but arena football. The Grand Rapids Rampage won Arena Bowl 15 on this day in 2001. Every
That's
August
right.
19th, I celebrate personally with that. So,
Yep.
But no, we're here to talk Canadian football. And I got an Argos shirt on, and you claim to be an Argos fan too, but you got a old school Hamilton Tiger Cats shirt on.
Yeah. Just
You
got
are
this in the
with
mail.
Rivals, right?
Yeah. Best thing there is the throwback logo. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
But yeah,
I like that shirt.
I've only got a few teams left to go. I think 3 that I have to get T-shirts for. So I'm getting one from everybody. And we've been to Argos games. We've been to Ticats games at their stadium. Like them both, but yeah, I thought this throwback one was really cool. I got another one that's more modern, but I love this throwback. Anything throwback, I like.
I like that one quite a bit. And I hope you get the Red Blacks 10th anniversary shirt. I like that logo they got. So I hope that's the one you get your eye on. So
yeah, I should.
All right. Some quick plugs, I guess, real quick before we jump into recapping last week's game, guys. I hope everybody out there is aware we do have a weekly podcast this week in the world of football, hosted by the two of us. We focus on everything all around the world of football. We do that every Tuesday, so go over to the YouTube channel, check it out, or wherever you can find your favorite podcast. You can search for us there. Also, it's almost NFL season because we're in the middle of the preseason. My brother-in-law Kyle and I are doing our weekly show, Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast. So go over there, check us out if you are Lions fans. If you're not Lions fans and you just want to, you're outside your candidate, you don't have an NFL team to root for, hey, consider jumping on the Lions bandwagon and joining us every week for our show. There we do. And coming up, September 4th, we're going to keep hitting this one home especially. Our weekly NFL picks, guys, are coming back starting that day. So be on the lookout for them. It's me, it's Randy, and it's my brother Aaron as the three of us go through our weekly NFL picks. And tell you who's going to win, who's going to lose. We don't give you the point spread, but, we just give you the winners and losers.
And we do pick every single game for the whole season.
Every single game.
And I think I've been winning the last few years.
Yeah, you did.
I've been winning the last few years, so it's not much of a challenge for me anymore, but what the heck. I'll let you guys pick with me.
Yeah, whatever. But come join in the fun. We're going to keep posting in the community tab whenever we get those picks around. And you obviously can comment in the video before when it goes up. And up until kickoff of the Thursday Night Football game is usually our window of time to let people come join us for those picks. So be on the lookout for that. And without further ado, Dad, we're here to talk Canadian football.
Yes, we are.
What a weekend they had up in Canada this weekend. We had some great close games, and we had some not so close games, some other developing stories that we were very interested in. So where do you want to start off?
We will start out with Week 11 scores, and we're going to start, it's Thursday night football up there. Ottawa Red Blacks over the Calgary Stampeders 31-29. After Lewis Ward gave the Red Blacks a 3-0 lead on their first possession, Calgary answered with a touchdown run by quarterback Tommy Stevens. Ottawa then responded with a touchdown run of their own by running back Raquel Armstead for a 10-7 Ottawa lead. Calgary wide receiver Ishmael Hyman caught a long pass that was initially called a touchdown, but he was ruled down at the 1-yard line. This led to a second Tommy Stevens rushing touchdown and a 14-10 Calgary lead. In the second quarter, Jeremiah Masoli connected with Devontae Dedman, giving Ottawa a 21-16 lead with just 34 seconds remaining in the half. Backup quarterback Dustin Crum added a rushing touchdown in the third quarter to extend the Ottawa lead to 28-16. Calgary closed the gap to 28-26 on Tommy Stevens' third touchdown run of the game, and then took the lead 29-28 following a Rene Paredes field goal with 2 minutes and 23 seconds left in the game. But it was a 51-yard field goal by Lewis Ward as time expired that gave Ottawa their 6th win of the season. Ottawa quarterback Jeremiah Masoli, who got the start for Ottawa over the injured Drew Brown, completed 27 of 35 passes for 254 yards and a touchdown. He also ran twice for 17 yards. Running back Raquel Armstead ran the ball 11 times for 120 yards and a touchdown, and wide receiver Jalen Acklin had 6 catches for 96 yards. Kicker Lewis Ward made 3 field goals, including the 51-yard walk-off winner. On defense, defensive back Damon Webb had 7 tackles and 5 tackles for loss. For Calgary, quarterback Jake Mayer completed 24 of 32 passes for 269 yards and no touchdowns. Backup quarterback Tommy Stevens had 3 rushing touchdowns in the game. Reggie Begelton led the receiving corps with 4 catches for 92 yards. And on defense, defensive back Demario Houston had 7 tackles, and defensive back Bentley Sanders had 6 tackles and 5 tackles for loss. Yeah, Jeremiah Masoli was making his first start of the year. He's been dealing with injuries the last couple of years, but it's a name out of the past that we remember watching, and he's really good when he can stay healthy.
Yeah, it was a name I had kind of forgotten about, to be honest with you. I wasn't even sure what team he was with, so when he kind of popped up playing for Ottawa the other night, I was like, I forgot about Jeremiah here. But, I mean, obviously those years in Hamilton, I believe, right? He was a Hamilton quarterback for a while. And
yeah, I think so.
He jumped around, I think, last year. I don't know who was he with. I don't know who he was with last year, but
yeah.
Man, he was one of those names that just haven't heard in a little bit. Forgot he existed, and then he just popped back up and did an adequate job, I would say, during the game.
Yeah. So many teams are having quarterback issues this year. A lot of these backup quarterbacks are getting their first start of the season or their first start ever sometimes, or playing in the backup role. So there's a lot of names that we've kind of heard but haven't seen a whole lot of, and Jeremiah Masoli is definitely one of those. But Calgary saw their 4-game home winning streak come to an end after that win, and they were winless on the road, but they were perfect at home, and now they can't say they're perfect at home anymore.
Unfortunately, not. I mean, it was bound to probably happen. I mean, but that's a 2-game skid now for Calgary, and I'm not throwing up the red flag yet with this team. I mean, they still got some good pieces there. They just haven't been able to put it together consistently. But for Ottawa, I mean, what can we say? The Red Blacks are probably the second best team in the league right now. I mean, we've said, how many times have we changed who the second best team in the league has been over the last few weeks? But I mean, right now it's got to be Ottawa. Ottawa leading he's right behind the Alouettes in the East. So right now the East is very loaded, I would say, and then the West Conference or West Division right now has been a little shaky, kind of top to bottom. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting race here as we get closer to the postseason. On Friday night, we saw the Montreal Alouettes defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 27-24. The only scoring in the first quarter was a missed field goal by Saskatchewan kicker Brett Lothar, which resulted in a 1-point rouge for the Roughriders. In the second quarter, Montreal quarterback Davis Alexander threw a touchdown pass to running back Walter Fletcher, which tied the game at 7 apiece. A Jose Maltos field goal gave the Alouettes a 10-7 lead at halftime. Then in the third quarter, Saskatchewan quarterback Trevor Harris connected with Keyshawn Johnson for a touchdown that gave Saskatchewan a 17-10 lead. Then in the fourth quarter, the highlight of the game occurred when Montreal wide receiver James Letcher Jr. returned a missed field goal 128 yards for the touchdown. Saskatchewan answered with a touchdown pass to wide receiver Mitchell Picton and a 24-21 Saskatchewan lead. But Montreal scored with 30 seconds left in the game when Alexander scrambled for the touchdown, making the score 27-24. Saskatchewan had one last chance with 6 seconds remaining, but Brett Lothar missed a 48-yard field goal wide left that would have sent the game into overtime. Montreal quarterback Davis Alexander completed 22 of 33 passes for 285 yards and a touchdown. He also ran the ball 4 times for 33 yards and an additional touchdown. Wide receiver Charleston Rambo had 7 catches for 94 yards, and wide receiver Cole Speaker had 3 catches for 92 yards. On defense, quarterback Nafis Lyon, and defensive back Wesley Sutton each had 7 tackles. For Saskatchewan, quarterback Trevor Harris, who returned to the lineup after missing the last few weeks with an injury, completed 31 of 35 passes for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back A.J. Olette ran the ball 18 times for 77 yards, and wide receiver Dante Myers had 8 catches for 101 yards. Wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson also had 5 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Brett Lothar made 3 field goals during the game, but missed 4 others. On defense, linebacker Jameer Thurman had 6 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Can anybody stop these Alouettes?
Well, I don't know. A lot of people said that Davis Alexander on that late touchdown run stepped out of bounds. And when I first saw the replay, I thought, well, he's awfully close, and it looks like he's in bounds. But if they stopped it before he went out of bounds, then they showed others where his foot slid out of bounds. So a lot of people were saying that touchdown should not have counted for him. But the command center let the touchdown call stand. So they must have seen something that we didn't see. But man, oh man, Montreal is now 9-1 on the season. I don't know. They've got something going. I don't know what to say about them other than
it's a conspiracy.
They're the team to beat.
The league wants Montreal to win. We hear this in the States all the time. The league wants a certain team to win. I mean, it is what it is. Look, if the command center made that call, the command center made that call. Whatever. It is what it is. It's done. It's over. All I know is that the Alouettes just find another way to win. They came all the way back. And if you're Saskatchewan, you got to be encouraged. Having Trevor Harris back is a big plus, I think, for them. Nothing against Shea Patterson, the work he did, but I mean, Trevor Harris is just, he was the starter for a reason. He's got the experience, so to see him back and shoot, he slung that ball around Friday night.
Yeah, he looked good.
And he looked good. And if it weren't for some missed field goals, I mean, you win the game. 4 missed field goals does not help you. I mean, you got to convert those. I mean, even if you get a rouge out of one of them, at 1 point ain't going to do you no good. How about getting the full 12 points you should have gotten when, you make those field goals? But hey, again, it is what it is. Saskatchewan's a team that I like. They just haven't been able to put everything together completely when they needed to at times. So we'll see what happens. The West is so wide open that Saskatchewan it wouldn't surprise me if they made it to the Grey Cup against the Montreal again and gave them a run for their money. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that was pretty unusual for Brett Lothar to miss 4 field goals in one game. That's out of character for him. So I don't know what was going on, whether it was windy or what. But
I can't even. The Canadian kickers have been pretty consistent this year. Like we've covered their stats all season long, I feel like, and I can't remember any of them really missing that many.
No.
To go, what's that? 3 for 7 on field goals is almost unheard of. So I mean, maybe just chalk that up to the Montreal Alouette good luck they've been having most of the season.
I guess. All right, on Saturday night, it was the Edmonton Elks over the Hamilton Tiger Cats by the score of 47-22. Edmonton opened the scoring in the first quarter with a touchdown run by Justin Rankin. Edmonton running back Javon Leake had a rushing touchdown, and Justin Rankin added his second rushing touchdown for a 21-3 lead. Wide receiver Dylan Mitchell added a touchdown catch, and Edmonton led 32-3 at halftime. Running back Greg Bell scored the first touchdown of the night for Hamilton via the run, and then added a touchdown catch to make the score 32-16 in favor of Edmonton at the end of the third. Adding insult to injury, Justin Rankin ran in for his third touchdown of the night for the Elks. That was followed by a touchdown pass from quarterback Harrison Frost to a wide-open Shamar Bridges. But Edmonton added a touchdown pass to Curly Gittens Jr., and the Elks had their first 3-game winning streak since 2018. Edmonton quarterback Taylor Powell started the game, but was injured in the first quarter and replaced by McLeod Bethel Thompson, who completed 15 of 23 passes for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Justin Rankin ran the ball 17 times for 108 yards and 3 touchdowns, and wide receiver Eugene Lewis had 5 catches for 93 yards. On defense, linebacker Nick Anderson had 6 tackles and a fumble recovery. For Hamilton, Bo Levi Mitchell completed 23 of 34 passes for 294 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Backup quarterback Harrison Frost completed 8 of 12 passes for 95 yards and a touchdown. Running back Greg Bell ran the ball 12 times for 85 yards and a touchdown. He also caught 6 passes for 88 yards and another touchdown. Wide receiver Shamar Bridges led the receiving corps with 8 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. On defense, linebacker Kyle Wilson had 4 tackles and 2 tackles for loss. But the big story in this game was Hamilton wide receiver Luther Hakunavanu, who was injured on the first play from scrimmage and had to be taken off the field in an ambulance. However, he let people know through social media later on that he was doing okay, and no word, of course, on his return this week or at any time in the future. The game was delayed for about a half an hour, and they were waiting for another ambulance to come to replace the one that was gone because they wanted to have one on hand in case something happened. And yeah, it did later on. Edmonton quarterback Taylor Powell was also taken to the hospital after he was slammed to the ground. And I think it was the same player that tackled Kunavanu and Taylor Powell. Maybe not, I don't know. But it was really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Lions preseason game, and then that dovetailed into the Hamilton game on the CBS Sportsnet. So I jumped over to that. And by the time I jumped over to that, though, it was on a delay because of that injury. I had no idea how far in the game everything was. I had to go on social media. I couldn't even see the highlight on social media. It took a while for that play to even pop up for me to finally see what exactly happened. But scary stuff. But like as I was watching, they had him on the gurney and everything, but he had his movement in his hands, so that was a positive sign. So right. there was good positive stuff there, but it was a scary scene, and the fact that it got delayed so long. I mean, I did tune away for a while because it looks like we're gonna be waiting a little bit, and then I jumped back in probably later in the game.
Yeah. One other note from this game: Mark Washington has reportedly been relieved of his duties as the Tiger Cats defensive coordinator, and the team hired former Edmonton Elks head coach Chris Jones to take over that position. You remember he was fired after leading the Edmonton Elks to an 0-5 start this year. So good luck on your new job. Hope things work out.
Yeah, we'll see if it does them any good. I mean, I feel bad for Hamilton. They just seem to not have been able to really put much together this season so far.
Yeah.
So it kind of stinks. And finally, on Sunday night, we saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the BC Lions 20-11. In the first quarter, quarterback Zach Collaros threw a touchdown pass to wide receiver Nick Dembski to make an early 7-0 lead. A late field goal in the second quarter gave Winnipeg a 10-0 lead to go into the half. In the third quarter, backup quarterback for Winnipeg, Chris Streveler, scored on a short touchdown run, extending the Blue Bombers' lead to 17-0. British Columbia finally got on the scoreboard with a field goal early in the fourth quarter. They also scored their first touchdown in the final seconds of the game on a 1-yard run by running back David Mackey, but it was not enough as BC dropped their fourth straight game. Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros completed 23 of 31 passes for 288 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Backup quarterback Chris Streveler ran the ball 6 times for 16 yards and a touchdown. Running back Brady Oliveira had 10 carries for 78 yards, and wide receiver Nick Dembski had 6 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. On defense, linebacker Tony Jones had 5 tackles. For British Columbia, quarterback Nathan Rourke completed just 8 of his 25 passes for 126 yards, no touchdowns, but threw 2 interceptions. He also ran the ball 4 times for 27 yards. Running back William Stanback ran the ball 15 times for 100 yards, and wide receiver Alexander Hollins had 2 catches for 50 yards. On defense, linebacker Ryder Varga had 10 tackles and 2 tackles for a loss. So we've been talking about Nathan Rourke for the last several weeks. Yeah. And obviously, even when we did our show last week, he hadn't yet signed with the BC Lions. I had to fill in later, because I edited later. Added that in. And he made a start. I didn't expect him to start this week, but he did. Yeah. And woof. What a rough go it was for Mr. Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, I mean, a week ago, probably to the day, he was quarterback in the Atlanta Falcons in a preseason game,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden now he's back up in Canada. A short week. His timing was off. He had a really rough start, but I think he'll be fine once he gets a full week of practice and gets his timing down with his receivers. Uh, some of those passes were just dropped. I don't know if he was leading them too much or throwing the ball behind him, but man, he just wasn't connecting, and I felt bad for him. But you know what? I think he's going to be just fine given some more time up with the BC Lions.
Yeah, we'll
And
see what
and
happens. It's an interesting situation they got up there too because you got Vernon Adams while hurt. I mean, when Vernon Adams comes back, do you play him? Do you keep Nathan Rourke? It's going to be very fascinating to see what the BC Lions end up doing.
yeah. And one other note from this game, Winnipeg head coach Mike O'Shea got his 100th career win that night, so congratulations to him. And
Yeah.
the Toronto Argonauts were on bye this week. All right, let's move ahead to the standings after 11 weeks in the CFL. In the East Division, it's the Montreal Alouettes leading everybody with a 9-1 record. Ottawa Redblacks at 6-2-1. Toronto Argonauts at 5-4, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats at 2-8. Then in the West Division, it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders at 5-4-1, the BC Lions at 5-5, Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 4-6, Calgary Stampeders also at 4-6, and the Edmonton Elks at 3-7. Taking a quick look at next week's game on Thursday, you've got Saskatchewan at Toronto. Friday night has Hamilton at Winnipeg. Saturday has BC at Ottawa. Sunday has Edmonton at Montreal, and Calgary will be on a bye this coming week. All right, in some other news, the CFL's Edmonton Elks have a new owner. He is Larry Thompson. He's a lifelong fan of the team, and he becomes the first private owner of the club in the club's history. The Green and Gold have been a community-owned team since it was founded in 1949. So I guess not just looking like the Packers, but they're also owned like the Packers. Community-owned team up there. And now they've got a
Didn't know that.
one owner. The sale of the team to Thompson was received unanimous support from the club's board of directors as well as the Canadian Football League's board of governors. Thompson owned an construction company for many years, but he sold that in 2013. So I guess he needs something to do in retirement, so he bought the team. And one other note, Argonauts quarterback Chad Kelly has been reinstated by the CFL, but with conditions. And they didn't say what those were. They're confidential and will not be discussed according to a statement by the CFL. So he's back. Don't know if he's going to start next week, but he has been reinstated by the league.
A little bit of a surprise. Like last week, I was pretty much of the belief that he wasn't going to see another snap in the CFL. He still could probably not take another snap, but I mean, being reinstated, let's see what happens and if the Argonauts, after being on a bye this past week, what they decide to do. It'll be very interesting to see going forward. That's for certain.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. Tune in again next week when Adam and I review the week's games in the Canadian Football League. We'll be here throughout the regular season and the postseason, as well as the 111th Grey Cup game in Vancouver in November, where we will be in attendance. So remember, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than Adam and I sitting here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you next week somewhere around the 55-yard line.